Now we're going a little bit more spicy because apparently chat wants to see me have my takes about current situation with Bradia games. So this one is Hero Head. Yes. So this is Ubisoft director caught. Company is on life support. Let's hear more about it.
Including a statement.
I'm doing real bad here. I had to scoot this over because shorts have the weirdest... They have strange, weird, scuffed dimensions, and now I have regrets. Carefully! Okay. Oh, no, there's still a little bit of the bar at the bottom.
We've got multiple things going on with Ubisoft today, including a statement from the monetization director over at Ubisoft, where he's mad about gamers criticizing the company. That looks hilarious. We'll get to that, but first, some financial stuff to go over that also just occurred. Game World Observer says Ubisoft shares soar over 30% as Tencent and Guillemot family reportedly consider a buyout, among other options. This seems...
So wait, why does Tencent want to buy them out if they're doing... Like, why? Because they're doing bad? Wouldn't that be the opposite of what you want to do?
Awfully convenient, doesn't it? In my opinion, there's also another explanation to this, though. Perhaps Tencent and the Guillemot family don't truly intend on taking the company private, and they may just be hoping that this news can run the price up a little bit, and even if the price adjusts after, like if the news doesn't end up, if the buyout doesn't end up happening, rather, it still may find support above this 230 area. So putting this news out there could just be a desperate attempt at getting the stock a little bit of traction.
So, is this real? So this is actually bringing the stock up, like, at this moment? That's crazy if so.
Basically putting the stock on life support, but let's take a look at what they say here in the full article. Tencent and the Guillemot brothers, which is owned by Ubisoft founders, is currently in talks with advisors on the company's future. Anonymous sources familiar with the matter told Bloomberg that they are considering the following scenarios to stabilize the business. 1. Company buyout. 2. Potentially teaming up to take Ubisoft private. The talks are at early stages, so it's unclear whether they will lead to a deal. According to Bloomberg, the parties are also considering alternative options. Both Ubisoft and the Guillemot family declined to comment. And just for a little more context...
What do they mean taking it private? Like, what are they gonna do with it? It's not sustainable? Well, then why would they want to buy it? It's like saying, like, oh, I see a sinking ship. That's the ship I want to have.
Next, here you can see some of the top managers over at Ubisoft, as well as members of the board, many of these executive positions indeed held by the Guillemot family. Let's also take a look here at the bottom of the screen at the top shareholders for Ubisoft Entertainment. At the very top, the Guillemot family with rounding down to 14%, and Tencent rounding up there to 10%, making both groups the largest shareholders of Ubisoft stock by far. Of course.
Okay, so they already own a ton of Ubisoft stock to begin with? Because, like, they already have, what? It says 9.9%. So they just want to buy it entirely? I just wonder what they want to do with it. Like, do they want to make Assassin's Creed games? I'm going to sound super naive because I don't actually know what the strat here is.
Of course, there's still another outstanding 75% or so in comparison to all of those combined, they would be a minority. Hopping back over to the article, they further say, this comes just weeks after one of Ubisoft's minority shareholders, AJ Investments, publicly called for taking the French publisher private or selling it to a strategic investor, in addition to other possible actions, such as hiring a new CEO instead of Yves Guillemot. AJ Investments, which gathered support from 10% of the company's shareholders, proposed such radical changes after Ubisoft's market value has more than halved since the start of 2024.
Okay, so it says their stock is currently up, but is that because Tencent is looking to buy them out and people know that, so that's why the stock is up, or is it up for a different reason? Oh no, it's because they made the stock private.
Launch of Star Wars Outlaws led to one of the biggest share price drops, with analysts raising concerns over Ubisoft's pipeline. As a result, its stock has plunged to its lowest level since 2013. So yeah, we've talked about that AJ Investments news multiple times already, going through the full statement that they issued and all that, and that could also potentially put more merit into the theory as well. If Ubisoft saw that news when it was occurring, decided, you know what, let's lean into that a bit. In a few weeks, we'll put out some news that we're thinking of buying all the shares back, going private with the company, and there you go. Or maybe they really do end up taking the company private. We'll have to see how it all plays out.
Wait. Oh, man. Maybe I shouldn't have reacted to this. I'm so lost. One more time. Stonks. Rosie's brain. Explode. Okay. Okay. It's still confusing. They heard UB wants to go private, which means buying out all the public stocks. Yep. And started buying shares in order to sell them to Ubisoft. Oh, wait. Never mind. I lied. Never mind. I didn't understand. No, they speculate that Ubi wants to buy it. So they want the stock to go up because they think, like, oh, if the stock goes up and they buy it, it's going to be worth more and I'm going to get a piece of it. Okay, so they're claiming a piece of the pie. And the pie is now more expensive. But they get a piece of the pie if Ubi buys it. So they're rushing to, you know, get a piece of it, basically. Okay. I get that now. Yeah.
For now, I'm not like entirely convinced, but I also don't want to spend too much energy trying to analyze Ubisoft's financial situation because it's just such a disaster, man. It's such a mess. Another noteworthy piece of information here at the end of the article, though, they say in 2022, Tencent acquired a 49.9% stake in Guillemot Brothers Ltd for 300 million euros, amid rumors of Ubisoft's buyout also increasing its stake in the French publisher. So these people are largely owned by Tencent. They conclude with this. It's worth noting that Tencent and the Guillemot family are minority shareholders in Ubisoft, currently holding 9.2% and 20.5% of net voting rights, so they will have to gain support from other stakeholders before entering into any deals, whether a
Ubi can't buy the stocks if the major stockholders don't want to sell it. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
buyout or other options. Alrighty, so that's the financial stuff. Now, in the intro, I also mentioned that we'd go over a post from the monetization director over at Ubisoft. He seems very unhappy.
Yeah. Dang. Seeing how gamers react on social media is wishing ill fate to companies and people alike is sad. I hate this. Like, stop, like, trying to pity yourself. Like, no. This is not the case. What about how the fact that indie games are prospering and gamers, like, spread love for these smaller titles all over social media? And they wish well of them. And sometimes pretty much like promote them for free, basically, because they want them to succeed. Right? Like, I see the exact opposite of what he said. This is only happening because your quality went down. If you didn't have a crappy product, nobody would be doing this to you.
With gamers criticizing the company. So let's see what he has to say. I rarely post on social media, but today I am sad, ashamed.
Yeah, they're pretty much victimizing themselves. They're not saying like, man, we really misstepped here.
And sad. The gaming industry is rough at the moment. We all know it. But seeing how gamers, quote unquote, react on social medias, wishing ill fate to companies and people alike, is sad. And not only towards Ubisoft. Even though it is always the vocal minority that express themselves on social media, I was hurt, and ashamed to be a part of this community.
I like how he said hurt twice. Like he deserves an apology. What about all the people you hurt by when they spent like so much money on your overpriced products only to find that you half-assed them when they were passionate about the franchise that you had from earlier established products? How about that? Oh, what if I was a super passionate Assassin's Creed player from like Black Flag, and then I see this and I'm like, wow, I spent so much money only to have them not give a flying out about the product. Like, it's like, you're hurt, everyone else is hurt. That's why this is happening. Yeah, Far Cry 6 hurt my feelings, bro. I was hurt.
Okay, let's pause there already. I like how he says it's the vocal minority who express themselves on social media as he's literally making a social media post. It's just funny phrasing. Yep. Like he missed how that sounded.
Were you hoping for empathy or pity from the vocal minority?
Or something. It's also hilarious that he's playing that typical, oh, the industry is just in a rough spot at the moment. Bro, your company, Ubisoft, has been having major financial issues for years. Dude really doesn't want to admit how Ubisoft has been heavily mismanaged, once again, for years, for quite a while. And how
you know what I've always thought of? I don't know how possible this is, okay? I'm not obviously a expert about how corpos work, right? But you know what I would do in a perfect world if I owned a company like this and this was happening? I'd be like, you know what? You know what's doing good? These indie games that have like low overhead, very passionate people. And I would just go find those people and I'd be like, can I invest in your IP and hire you? Can I hire all 4 of you and just give you a little extra on the top since you could do it without me? And then we can just say like, I'm helping indie companies prosper. Why not? Because it would be so much less than the weird amounts of money they're just like burning.
putting out slop products. That's why people literally coined the term Ubislop. Not to mention numerous statements that executives at Ubisoft have made. Things like, oh, it's a quadruple A game, and gamers need to get used to not owning their games, etc., etc.
Yeah. See, this is the problem. I'm not trying to assume here, but a lot of it comes down to pride, right? It's like what he says. It's their pride. Like, they don't want to admit that, you know, their stuff is slop, or that, you know, companies that are not even, like, literally 4 guys can do a better and more passionate project in, like, a quarter of the time than you can do in, like, 8 years with, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, that's hurting their butt, man, and they don't want to talk about it.
More recently, the complete disasters around Star Wars Outlaws and AC Shadows. And even, for example, doing shady things like all this bot stuff that seems to be going on. And allegedly colluding with the New York Times to put out that hit piece against gamers that dismisses all criticism towards AC Shadows as just hate. We could go on and on and on, but let's return to his statement. See what
it drives me crazy too, because it's like, it's not hate. If you read all the, like, I read some degen comments, okay? I really do. And, like, a lot of the comments are like, we're upset because you, like, are historically wrong. And you prided yourself about caring historically about this. Like, that's like a majority of them. Sure, there's, like, some, you know, unwell people in every comment section, especially when people are mad at something, but, like, a majority are like, you did this wrong, and it's like, it's a valid criticism.
What else he has to say? A few more paragraphs to that. We left off here where he said, I was hurt and ashamed to be a part of this community. Now he says, what is even more revolting is coming on LinkedIn.
Oh no, this wasn't even the end of his pity post, man. I'm sorry, I'm so spicy. My bad.
Seeing the same comments from people within the industry, on top of exposing yourself as a clearly non-decent human being. You are affecting thousands of employees that are already impacted by all the hate, despite doing their best to deliver incredible experiences. How can you wish a company to fail simply because they do not cater to you, or that the product does not please you is beyond.
Okay, so if nobody said anything, would that make him happy? If everyone said, oh my god, I love this game, it's so good, and then, like, didn't buy it, I'm just curious what he would say. You know, they just don't even tell him. It's like, he'll just find out. Just like, surprise, everyone said it was great, but nobody bought it.
On me.
I don't know, man.
We are all in the same boat. Please, 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 stop spreading hate. We should all uplift each other instead of bringing each other down.
The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is hate, but let me explain. It's like, love drives hate, rather. You know what I'm saying? Love drives hate. If you like something enough, you'll feel upset because it disappoints you, right? You can't be disappointed in something if you don't care about it at all.
Okay. My gosh. This is giving me flashbacks to Concord, where that Amanda Kiefer lady, senior concept artist for Firewalk Studios, was making that long rant, basically saying, like, no, you're not allowed to criticize Concord and the character roster because we all have livelihoods. We need to make money. And it's like, yo, we all
we all have livelihoods and we have limited, you know, amounts to spend on products. Like, we can't just be like, oh, you're right, this is slop, but, you know, because you have a livelihood, I guess I'll spend, you know, the $70.
To make money. But that doesn't mean nobody is allowed to get criticized when they do a bad job on things.
It's like, literally, do you want to make those $70? Do you want to not make $20? Well, then you're gonna have to take some criticism. Like, that's how it goes, right? This is like in any profession, right? Like, think about artists. It's like, the more you practice and hone your skill and take criticism, you get better every time. And it's not to say that everyone expects your product to be perfect, right? Or, like, when you're in, like, I would say, like, alpha, beta testing, nobody expects the product at that point, especially if it's, like, your first time in the industry, to be perfect, right? Like, they expect if you're like, hey, we need some testing for alpha, that there's going to be some rough edges and that you aren't going to have the product be perfect because you need some guidance, right? You need some time to cook. And that's okay. Like, no game dev, no person is perfect from the products they create. You know, but when like indie devs especially come a lot closer than you do and don't have half of the resources you do, you start looking ungrateful.
In my opinion, these people come off very manipulative.
Yes.
Like, going back to this monetization director over at Ubisoft, which, by the way, let's talk about how ironic that is. This guy's mad about people criticizing Ubisoft, trying to say it's all just hate, and you simply don't like the product. You know, a lot of the
You want to know where the hate comes from? The fact that they're blatantly telling you, hello, this is wrong. And they're like, oh, it's so weird our game isn't selling. You know why people are responding with hate? Imagine if somebody was, I don't know, at a bus station, right? And you get off the bus and you see somebody who's like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm feeling so awful, you know, and, you know, they're like, I can't see where I'm going. I can't see anything. I must be blind. And you look at their face and you see that they like have a blindfold on. Everyone else but them can see that they have a blindfold on. And they're like, oh, bro, let me help you. You have a blindfold on. You might want to take that off. And they're just like, they just don't even acknowledge you said that. They don't even acknowledge you said that. They're just like, man, people are really, you know, they really just assume so much of people these days. I don't know why people just keep running up to me and getting frustrated. All these, you know, and some people resort to yelling. They're like, my dude, you have a blindfold on. You have a blindfold on, my dude. Please. It would be so easy to fix your problem. Everyone knows the problem but you. Please. And then they see, you know, there's other people that are friends with this guy, and he's talking, and he's like, yeah, don't listen to those people. You know, they're just being toxic. You know, they're yelling. They're not using their indoor voice, okay? And then they victimize themselves. And it's like, you're completely missing the point.
Towards Ubisoft is also with their monetization strategies being very predatory. And here we've got the monetization director at Ubisoft trying to spin this all in a way where he's really the one who's a victim. Checking out a few of the most liked responses to that post, we've got this one, quoting his part where he says, how can you wish a company to fail? This person saying, well, let's see. When the company continually gaslights me, makes me waste my increasingly hard-earned money by not being upfront about a buggy and defective product, not liking the political agendas they inject into games, charging me increasingly more for half-complete experiences, while expecting me to pay even more for the rest of the game, yeah, I'm kind of going to want that company to go down in flames.
Exactly. Like with the blindfold example, it's assuming the person feels sympathetic to the person wearing the blindfold and not knowing. And the reason I use that is some people are very passionate about the franchises, right? But at the end of the day, this is a company, and they are asking for your money. That's what this is. They say, I have product, I want you to want to buy it. And the consumer looks at product, sees all this crap in it, sees it's not done, and says, I don't want to buy it. And then they freaking guilt trip you about it. And it's like, you don't care about, like, I think the funniest thing about this is he acts like this comes down to, like, he really, really cares. And it's not the fact that they're not losing money. Like, you are hurt, you are butthurt because you have an ego and you are losing money. If you were getting money and these people were still saying these things, you would not be sniffling right now. Like, how much you want to bet?
Another quoting the part where he said, I was hurt and ashamed to be a part of the community. This person just saying, get out. And then we've got the fourth grade teacher reference here. Getting owned by the fourth grade teacher reference.
Oh, man. As my fourth grade teacher would always say when I made excuses for not doing my homework, too bad, so sad, you get an F. Stop making excuses and just deliver a good product. Because it's not personal. It's not like they look, you know, it's not personal. Make a good product.
Says, as my fourth grade teacher would always say when I made excuses for not doing my homework, too bad, so sad, you get an F. No way. Fourth grade teacher said that. Too bad, so sad, you get an F. Stop making excuses and just deliver a good product. And regarding Ubisoft overall, I also saw this post going around, thought this was pretty funny.
Yeah, look at this. Look at how good these are. You look at this and you know it could happen. I think that's another really big thing. Is more than ever, these indie companies have a chance to be in the market, right? And so now I think the casual gamer, without research, right, they can look at these actual examples and draw the line more than they ever could before without, you know, because before you would maybe need to look up a little more research or there was less examples. It's like these are front and center. You could see in real time that these games don't ask you for the same amount of financial investment, and they're more polished, and they're good. And so now you really do know for sure from actual examples that they are wasting money, that this doesn't need, you know, this many people, that it doesn't need to be this expensive, right? I think that's like a huge component of it.
This meme says Ubisoft CEO saying, in today's challenging market, gamers are expecting extraordinary experiences. Delivering solid quality is no longer enough. And the OP saying, bro, just make good games and release it on Steam. It's not rocket science, I promise you. And the meme going on to say the extraordinary expectation and showing a number of highly successful games, many of which are indie games. Yeah, these executives at Ubisoft, man, they're something else. I don't know what's wrong with these people.
They didn't take years to create. They don't always have, like, you know, 80 hours of gameplay necessarily, and people adore them.
I'm going to leave it there. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed my coverage, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Does anyone know what this game is? Have a wonderful weekend.
It does look interesting. I actually don't know what it is. Anyway, that was a great video. I'm sorry the beginning of it, I was like super confused and kind of just like buffering, trying to figure out what was happening. And then the end, I just started like being a yapaholic. But yes, I think what's hilarious is that like the more they fail, the more they double and triple down. Like I'm impressed that they like apparently are unable to be humbled. Like they wouldn't have fallen this far if they would have taken criticism at any other point. It's so weird. It's like, man, they really are determined to dig their own hole and bury themselves in it for some reason. It's like it only makes them look worse, but yes.